She fought to protect my town, but quietly admitted she was never supposed to fall in love. The wind carried a chill that evening, rustling the amber leaves along Main Street. The townspeople had long learned to retreat indoors when the sun dipped behind the hills, but I stayed near the edge of town, watching. Something had shifted in the air, a tension I couldn't quite name. Then she appeared. A figure moving against the twilight, her steps silent, yet certain, almost predatory. She was unlike anyone I had ever seen. Tall, with eyes that shimmered like molten silver, and hair the color of midnight streaked with violet. She was both terrifying and mesmerizing. I had heard whispers from the older folks in town about a mysterious guardian, someone who arrived only when danger was near. But no one had ever actually seen her, until that night. "Don't be afraid," she said, her voice smooth and low, carrying over the crunch of leaves. Froze. How could she know I was here? I wasn't afraid," I stammered, though my heart thudded like a drum. Her gaze softened just slightly. "Good. You should be ready, though. They're coming." Before I could ask who, a roar tore through the valley. Shadows emerged, creatures twisted and wrong, crawling like smoke and solidifying into monstrous forms. The townspeople, unprepared, would have been slaughtered in moments. Without hesitation, she leapt forward. Her movements were fluid, almost impossible, and the creatures fell under her blows as if they were nothing but mist. Sparks flew from weapons she carried, unfamiliar but devastating. I had never seen such skill, such power. I wanted to run, to hide, but something anchored me to the spot. Maybe it was awe, maybe it was fear, but more than anything it was curiosity. Who was this woman who could bend life and death with a flick of her wrist? When the last of the shadows vanished, leaving only the scent of scorched earth and ozone, she turned to me. "You're lucky," she said simply, catching her breath. "Most don't survive their first encounter." I should help you," I said, though I had no idea what help I could offer. She shook her head. "No. You survive by staying alive. That's enough. They weren't targeting you yet. But they will return, and next time it won't be so easy." I noticed then the exhaustion in her movements, the tension beneath her calm exterior. Why are you protecting us?" Her eyes darkened, and for a moment the silver gleam faded. "I wasn't supposed to." The words were barely audible, a whisper carried on the wind. I frowned. "You weren't supposed to fall in love," she finished, almost bitterly, almost ashamed. The confession hit me like a jolt of lightning. Her battles, her presence here, it had always felt larger than duty. But now I understood. Her heart was tangled in this town, in its people, in me. She was bound by something far stricter than law or duty. I wanted to reach for her to ask her what she meant, but before I could, a tremor shook the ground. More shadows, more of those creatures, emerging from the forest's edge. She readied herself instantly, but I noticed something different. A hesitation, a flicker of fear. "You can't keep fighting alone," I said, surprising myself. "Let me help. Let me fight by your side." Her lips twitched, half smile, half grimace. "I shouldn't. Can't risk it. If you get hurt, you won't just lose this town, you'll lose yourself." But the creatures charged, and instinct overrode caution. I ran to her side, armed with nothing but a shovel and determination. She didn't stop me, only nodded once, almost approvingly, and together we faced the advancing shadows. It was chaos, fire and shadow and movement too fast for the eye to track. She moved like a storm, and I stumbled after her, striking where I could, distracting enough to keep the creatures at bay. One of them lunged at her from behind. I threw myself in front, feeling teeth scrape against my shoulder. Pain flared, but she was already behind me, swift and lethal, sending the creature flying with a kick that shattered the silence. When it was over, both of us breathing hard, I finally allowed myself to see her properly. She was human, mostly, but with something otherworldly, almost untouchable. And yet, there was vulnerability there, a crack in the armor, a confession waiting in her eyes. "You," I began, my voice hoarse. "You weren't supposed to fall in love, and yet, you care. You care about all of this, about everyone." Her silver eyes glimmered, almost tender. "It's weakness," she whispered. "A weakness I was never allowed to have. But it's also why I can't leave. Why I can't walk away, even when I know I should." I took a step closer. "Then don't walk away. Not from me, not from this town. Whatever rules you follow, whatever laws bind you, let them bend, just this once." She looked at me, the fight within her mingling with the desire she had tried to bury. For a long moment, silence stretched between us, the world holding its breath. Then she nodded, almost imperceptibly. "Then we protect it," she said finally, her voice firm. "Together." From that night onward, she became more than just a shadow guardian. She became part of our lives, our laughter, our fears, and our joys. She fought tirelessly, saving lives, always standing at the forefront of danger, but she also allowed herself moments of quiet. Moments when her hand brushed mine, when her smile lingered a heartbeat longer, when her confession returned in the form of soft, stolen words. She had warned me, admitted her heart was not supposed to be mine, but I never doubted that it was. And in protecting this town, she had also protected us from the emptiness of a world without love. The shadows never stopped coming, but neither did she. And neither did I. Side by side, we faced the dark together, stronger not just because of power, but because of the one thing that made even the fiercest warrior vulnerable: love. Even if the world told her she shouldn't have it, she had found a way to hold it anyway. And I found a way to hold her too. The shadows never stopped coming, but neither did she. Even after the last creature had fallen, the town was never truly safe. But we had each other, and that made all the difference. She stood at the edge of Main Street, her silver eyes reflecting the last light of dusk. I approached cautiously, my heart hammering with a mix of awe and something deeper. "You weren't supposed to fall in love," I said softly, echoing her own words from earlier. Her lips curved in a faint, almost sorrowful smile. "I wasn't. But I did. And somehow, I don't regret it." For the first time, she allowed herself to step closer, to let the barrier between us slip. I could see the weight she carried, the endless battles, the rules she was bound by, but also the glimmer of something fragile, something human: hope, trust, and love. "We'll face them together," I said, reaching for her hand. "Whatever comes next, we fight side by side. You're not alone anymore." Her hand met mine, warm and surprisingly soft. "Together," she whispered. And in that moment, the world didn't seem so frightening. The dangers lurking beyond the hills didn't feel insurmountable. For the first time, she allowed herself to believe that love wasn't a weakness. It was a reason to keep fighting. She had come to protect the town, to follow her duty. But in protecting us, she had also protected her own heart, giving it permission to belong somewhere, to someone.